I love a Pioneer. I'm a big golf fan. I got my first set of clubs when I was 4. I remember the moment my dad gave them to me. I played in the golf state tournament. I love golf. And when most people think golf, they think men.
Mm-hmm.
And they think men players. But then if anyone has thought about a golf designer, also men. And here you are, really flipping the script on all of it. So it's clear that you grew up golfing based on your family. But when did you think, I wonder who built this thing?
I think it was pretty early on actually, because as you said, I did grow up on my family's golf course. So I was really ingrained with everything that you think about and also everything that you don't really think about when you think golf. And that's everything from how to grow grass to how to drain the soil to how to irrigate the soil and the turf. So it was a pretty all-encompassing, influence in golf that I think subconsciously it was pretty early on that I knew golf was going to be in my life for a long time.
Many people, even those that are quite familiar with golf, when they think about the designer, maybe this is just my own bias. I think about the art of it, the creativity
Yeah.
part of it.
Yeah.
But you mentioned it, there's such a science. And so there aren't that many golf designers in the world because it is left brain, right brain, creative. And your audience is so vast. Like someone who's learning has to enjoy it. And someone who's quite advanced in the sport needs to enjoy it because at the end of the day, golf is a business and people have to pay to want to play that course.
Oh my God, you're so right. It's like science, business, art, people skills, communication skills, all of these things. And I think that's actually why I love this job so much, is because every day is different. Every day brings a new challenge. There's kind of like this anti-routine in golf architecture where no two projects are alike, and you have to really dig into, being adaptable. And that's what keeps me excited about being in this industry.
How often are you the only woman at the table?
The majority of the time. Yeah. Especially when I was working over in the UK. I worked with an architect named Martin Hawtrey over in the UK, and he's a third generation architect, very, very much a legacy family within this industry, and worked on many of the historically important golf courses that are in the UK, including many of the open rota courses, so like St Andrews and Royal Birkdale. Um, and especially in those kind of old worldy traditional golf spaces, it was very often that I was the only woman in the room. And I remember the first committee meeting I had where there was another woman in the room, and that was like, wow, it's taken this long to finally see someone else sitting at that table with me.
When you show up to these meetings, do you have to like get yourself mentally prepared to be the only woman there? Are you pretty used to it? Do you feel like you have to be someone you're not? Which is, I think, something many people listening probably are still confused about some of the golf terms. And we haven't even talked like really deep, but everyone understands what it feels like to show up and be different or only or other. And
Yeah.
to have to do a bravery sort of mantra, maybe to get into that room, to sit at that table and feel like, what am I doing here? This is hard. It would be easier if I did something else. And you have done this. So what's your advice for people and how have you done that?
Yeah. And as you said, I think it's really easy to relate to that feeling when you feel like an outsider, and that can come in really any industry. Golf is not unique in that sense, especially in male dominated industries as a woman. And I think we've all, faced our own elements of bias and stereotyping that has, formed the way we think and given us our perspective that, if we're able to understand that perspective is valuable and nuanced and important, and that we're not alone in those experiences, I think that's what gives me great power. And just leaning into being a bit different, especially in the golf space, it's really easy to, stand out as a woman with tattoos and piercings. And, I've always kind of felt like an outsider in the golf industry. So I feel pretty comfortable in that space at this point.
You said something that is so powerful. You said that basically your otherness, your difference is great power.
Mm-hmm.
And that is such a different way to look at it. That instead of walking into a room or a situation when you know that you are othered and perhaps that imposter syndrome stuff is there, that like flip that whole thing on its head and think, no, my difference gives me my power. That's incredible.
Yeah. It's powerful. Yeah, absolutely.
What about golf? Why does golf architecture need a woman? What do you bring in your perspective that is way overdue for golf?
Yeah, I mean, golf.
I have an answer, but I want to hear what your answer
is. Wait, can we hear your answer too?
Yeah, I'll say it, but you go first.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think golf has for centuries has been designed by men for men. It was traditionally a gentleman's game, and everything was considered from that perspective. And I think culture more broadly, our society more broadly, is kind of ready to invite us into those spaces, make space for us, allow us to contribute. And all of a sudden, the perspectives that we have, they're not, unique to just women. They're quite broad, and they are able to elevate many elements of a golf course, and they relate to sustainability and equity and inclusivity and community and caring and vulnerability and emotion, and bring all that into a golf space that traditionally has pushed back against those values. Not with any malice, just because, that's what golf has been, and why change something that's good if you're, a wealthy white man who's been in the golf space for 50 years, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good for you. So I think, our perspective, my perspective in particular, and being able to have this platform and use the tools of an architect to break down barriers to allow more people into the game is generally a positive thing for the sport in general.
Absolutely. 100%. So you gave the architect science answer. I will give you the maybe there's other women out there thinking what I'm thinking, which is I am sick and tired. I can step onto a high horse or just wait. Okay, ready? Sick and tired of the men's and women's tees. Okay, so people who don't play golf, and I know that a lot of this is changing some because now it's like red tee, white tee, yellow tee, whatever. But basically most golf courses for many, many years, and some still have a designated men's tee box, which is basically where the golf on any hole, that is where the shot begins. You start at a spot. And the assumption is that the man can hit it farther. Therefore, his tee box needs to be behind where the woman's is. And then there's a senior citizen one, which again, many golf courses are changing this, but for most golfers, they still say men's, women's, whatever. So for me as a golfer, the best part of my game is my length. That is the part of the game that has always been my strength. And I hate having to go forward because I'm a woman. And then, 15 years ago, I would play in a tournament or something, or with my brothers, who I'm guessing won't hear this, but if they do, Mike and Tim, I'm talking to you, I would beat them. And they would say, well, you were playing the women's tees. And I would say next time. So I played the men's tees for many years because it's more fun. And then you get looked at like you're some kind of bra burning feminist trying to make some kind of point on a golf course. And it's like, hey, you're here to have fun. I'm here to have fun. And if I could only play the long game and like remove greens from a golf course, that would be my ideal.
You'd be joining the tour.
But not really. But I mean, that's the challenging part. And of course, we play these games because it is a challenge. But that mindset of men's, women's, seniors, that's still a new concept for golf to change that. Is that, so my question to you, like, is that my own perspective and bias, or is that true.
No, that's a lot of what I in my day-to-day work is trying to educate people on the value of playing the correct tee for your game, for how far you hit the ball, for what kind of experience you want to have. And as you said, it's been so prescribed in the past of men play from here and women play from here. And it's changing. And what I'm trying to encourage is people to have fun out there. I mean, golf is hard enough as it is. We don't need to be making it harder. And so if you're someone who hits your 7-iron 150 yards, maybe you shouldn't be playing the quote unquote ladies tees. If you're a man who, has just come off an injury or is just out there for fun or hits your 7-iron 140 yards, there's a specific tee for you that will give you the optimum experience. And that's not always the men's tee. So just really rethinking that and try to understand, how we can make the experience better for everyone without prescribing tees by gender is, something that's so simple in concept, but quite difficult in practicality just because of the culture and tradition that is so associated with golf.